30 Flights of Loving is an old-ass video game. There's more. It's a wordless, pulpy short story about a Prohibition-era heist gone wrong, and it doesn't do things the way most games are supposed to. It don't look like much. If it came out today, it's the kind of thing that'd end up on someone's itch.io as like a free download, but things were different back in 2012. Our game's art was still a serious conversation people spent their limited time on this earth having. Journey came out and everyone flocked to it like, see? It was me, by the way. I was that guy. That was my me impression. It was genuinely novel back then to see a dinky little team like Blendo aiming for such a filmic presentation. It made enough of a splash back then to get a whole Wikipedia page, which surprised me because all I can find of its legacy among gamers is a handful of Let's Plays from 14 years ago. As Graham Smith for PC Gamer put it, it tells a better story in 13 minutes than most games do in 13 hours. That was true in 2012, but today, it's still true. It's also a novelty for being made in the Quake 2 engine, but it uses it a little differently. Can you spot the difference? The narrative of 30 Flights is non-linear, jumping forward and backward in time, intersplicing chaotic escape sequences with cute, quiet moments of characterization. It's silly, it's concise, and I didn't do that. It just hard cuts in the middle of gameplay. Constantly. Look at this. Weird. It's so fun. Not only is this style of hard-cutting reminiscent of the media that inspired the game, but more importantly, the disorientation of these cuts syncs up to the emotional beats of the game's narrative. Like, yeah, if I were wading through swarms of people all fighting to escape an airport while my friend bleeds out in front of me, I reckon I'd be pretty disoriented. This constant smash cutting from one place to another gave me a sense of panic. Like even though there's no time limit or anything, I was still scrambling to find a way out before it's too late. I could call it ludonarrative harmony. Then, you could repeat that in a Discord call, and all of your friends would think you were an asshole. The jump cutting in 30 Flights of Loving is integral to its narrative. It's also broadly considered a bad idea that feels bad. Now, one thing you need to know about me is I'm quite smart, and so I think that it's a little more complicated. When we get back, I'll explain to you why I think that actually, the hard cut is kind of cool.
What's up, guys? It's White Morpheus again for more reviews. Sponsored. This is the ROG Strix Scar 18 2016 version. Up to Intel Core Ultra 9 processor, 290HX Plus, and like before, up to a RTX 5090 with 175 watt max TGP. Thunderbolt capabilities. The speeds are lightning fast. We also have toolless access to within, meaning that you can one more thing that I think you need to see that will save the best for last.
It's interesting just how different the same techniques can feel depending on the medium. Why is it that something so ingrained in the language of cinema can be so unpleasant in games? I mean, games borrow from movies constantly, but over the last decade or three, as we've chased more and more movie-like narratives, especially in the first and third person, distinct differences in execution have emerged and kissed. The biggest problem developers have to contend with that filmmakers don't is control. Video games are inherently interactive. The more control you give the gamer, the more variables you have to contend with, because the gamer is unpredictable. How do you create a space to deliver a cinematic narrative while still keeping the game as interactive as possible? From what I can tell, the answer most games come to is sometimes you can't. If a game wants to have a narrative beat conveyed like a movie, it necessarily boots you into spectator mode. If you're lucky, then as a treat, some games will let you do this. Ooh. We built a wide range of tools that soften the transition to and from gameplay, from fade-outs to crops to sudden mocapping, but at the end of the day, we're still asking gamer to relinquish control so that we can have our film and eat it too. I think the jump cut means something fundamentally different to James than to Jilms. There are few things more disorienting in a game than when your input is misaligned with the output, especially if we're talking about the camera. A movie is like a window into some cameraman's perspective, but in game, you are the man. And so when a cut happens and you didn't make it happen, it feels like being teleported. My eyes were over there, now they are over. I'm here, and because it's confusing, it's disarming, and for some people, it's even nauseating. 30 Flights of Loving just decided that's fine, that's cool, which makes it irregular. Unlike basically all of its contemporaries, it never removes control from the player character. With both approaches, the camera cuts, but here, you remain an active participant. You're expected to navigate the action from the inside. And the result is a novel game that ping-pongs between moments of calm and panic. The result is a game 6 years after the release of 30 Flights of Loving, there was a different video game. Paratopic is a little horror game you might be more familiar with. When it dropped, it was one of the few interesting, novel takes on what we've now coined liminal horror. That was back in 2018, but today, it's still true. Like 30 Flights, it made the rounds both among media outlets and gaming influencers. Like 30 Flights, it's an experimental short story created by a microscopic indie team. Like 30 Flights, it forgoes traditional gaming normals in favor of a non-linear narrative, making heavy use of jarring, hard cut. But unlike 30 Flights, Paratopic uses them to create mystery, intrigue, and dread. It feels like a direct iteration of the ideas brought forth by Blendo Games, I said to myself before learning that the literal first quote on the itch.io page is about how the game is inspired by 30 Flights of Loving, but it does something different with its narrative. It's a burden, you know, how large and bountiful my mind is, and how reasonable and humble my penis is. Cuts tend not to happen when you might expect. That's intentional. They're not exactly jump scares, but they rip you out of a place and time, never letting you get too comfortable. One moment you're talking to a strange fellow, all of a sudden you're driving a car. One moment you're wandering down a long, winding trail, all of a sudden you're in the car again. That's not to say that these cuts are happening all the time. They're actually pretty spaced out. The crazy thing about it is that these jump cuts are so ingrained into Paratopic's presentation that their absence is felt as strongly as their presence. This 45-ish minute game demands your patience, forcing you to sit with quiet unease for just long enough to create this weird sense of tension. I've been driving this car for like 5 minutes. Where is it going? What am I doing? What is gonna happen? And the cut finally arrives. But there's no relief. The character you were playing as moments ago is still there, in some other place and time. you'll be seeing them again. I kind of think these two games make really good companion pieces. They use the same unorthodox structure and techniques to do very different things. 30 Flights of Loving uses the hard cut to create a sense of panic and surprise. Paratopic uses it to invoke foreboding and unease. They're both explorations of how the hard cut feels different when you're trapped inside it. Instead of pulling back from the inherent discomfort, they use it to better tell stories in ways that I would have called gay when they were first released. And like gay in the bad, homophobic way. Not like now. I'm reformed. And gay. When the camera cuts, I'm still technically in control, but I feel utterly powerless. I can't change how things turn out. I don't get to decide how the story goes. The characters I play as are not in control of what's happening, and neither am I.